Hello and welcome to the channel for round 3, the semi-final round essentially of the Dark Side Games tournament. My name is Jake. You can also call me Atrocious if you'd like. And today we've got another exciting round of Edward Newgate play in OP05, this time facing off against Sakazuki. So this is the same player as the last video that faced off against Nell, and if you want to go check that out, go check out the iCard that popped up top in this one. First off, I just want to say thank you so much to Dark Side Games and these players for allowing me to record this game. If you want to go get some One Piece TCG singles, head over to Dark Side Games' website through the description below. There's a link over there that you can click on, help support the channel. So going into this one now with Sakazuki, I don't exactly know how this matchup goes, to be honest. I wasn't like in the game really when Whitebeard was like running rampant like crazy. Like I think Whitebeard got banned very soon after I joined into the game, so I haven't been playing very long, but I have been playing a lot of OP05 lately and also doing commentary because we have a ton of commentary videos on this channel. So going off into this one, the Newgate is going to draw 5 cards. The Sakazuki player draws 5 as well. The Newgate has a little bit to work with the Nami right there, and it looks like they have a Sanji rusher as well, maybe a Luffy rusher as well in there, and it looks like a 4-drop and a 5-drop Marco is the Newgate's hand, opting to keep it. The Sakazuki player chose to mulligan that one, so we'll see how that goes for them, and I don't exactly know who won the coin flip and who's going first in this one, so we'll just see on how that goes. Again, it is Sakazuki and Edward Newgate, a matchup that you should be ready for, I feel like, especially if you're playing Sakazuki, because if we know NA players heading into nationals, NA players love Newgate. So looks like Sakazuki is going to go first, using leader effect to pitch the Hina and draw a card, passing it off to the Newgate. The Newgate is going to draw to Dawn. We know again that they have that Nami in hand, so they're going to start off playing that Nami after top decking the Atmos vanilla 4 cost 6,000 power card. So Nami going to be grabbing the Radical Beam. Radical Beam, a very, very strong card in Newgate, and probably just going to be passing the turn there, taking 1 of their life, and heading into Sakazuki's 3 Dawn turn. So 3 Dawn immediately played right there. Going to be playing that blue Hina, drawing a card in their hand, and then using a leader effect to help cycle in this one. Not going to be swinging at the Newgate this turn, but going to help filter their hand, build their board a little bit to be able to respond, and pitching that Sabo blocker there. So Newgate now going into the 4 Dawn turn, going to be swinging 6 at leader, and a 2K Tashigi is pitched. And so let's see what they do. They could play the Atmos here. The thing about Atmos and a lot of these like cost characters is once Sakazuki really starts going, these lower cost characters like the Marco blocker, the Atmos, it's going to be hard to keep them on the field because they'll just get bottom deck. So maybe it's more valuable to do what the Newgate player is doing right now, swinging 6 at the leader with Nami. And so taking a life there, it is going to be 3 life to 4 after Newgate takes 1 of their own through the leader effect. And now moving into the next turn for the Sakazuki, we'll see exactly how this goes. Going to start off by swinging 4 at the Nami, taking out the Nami. And so attaching 1 to leader and swinging 6, a quick 1K counter off the Atmos, and then using Rebecca to bring up a Tashigi and play down a Hina. So using the leader effect now to get rid of, what could it be? It looks like it's the Dracul Mihawk there, 9-cost Mihawk. Going to be passing it off to the Newgate. So slowly building up their board. I do like the idea of swinging with like some Hinas to be able to take out a bunch of pesky people. And so the 6K swing with the Tashigi is going to go there, and the Sanji swings Now, Sanji does say it gains rush if your opponent has a 5,000 power character or more, and so since the Black Hina from the starter deck is in play, Sanji is going to swing, and so the 2k counter with the one-legged toy soldier is going to keep their life at 3 and now evens up the life at 3. So Sakazuki looking to make a nice play here. You do need to get rid of this Sanji, and interesting by Newgate only putting down a couple characters at a time, not necessarily filling the board. And so pitching first the Rob Lucci on here. You definitely don't want that Sanji to swing too many times, but you've got a couple characters that could potentially deal with it. So going to be playing down another blocker, Rebecca, grabbing that Hina from the trash and probably playing that down right there. So putting that Sanji cost to 2, and then potentially a Sakazuki swing coming in. But first, the Hound Blaze. Going to be using the Hound Blaze to power up the leader and bottom deck the Sanji, putting that Sakazuki to 8,000 power, and going to be swinging at 8 at leader and taking that life. And so 1 Dawn left, might as well put it on that Black Hina that you put down last turn and swing, catching a blocker 4-cost Marco for the counter. And so now moving into this next turn, I believe 8 Dawn turn for the Newgate with 2 life left. He's shaking his head a little bit. You couldn't see, but I'll just tell you that now. Shaking his head a little bit, thinking about what am I going to do. Now, we do know that they play Rush Luffy, and they do have one in hand, the unblockable one. But in order for Rush unblockable Luffy to be effective, you need to get the Sakazuki down in life. So Newgate swinging 6 to start out here. Going to be taking a life, so that's 1 step closer. And it looks like they're just going to put it in hand. The Sakazuki player now only with 4 cards in hand compared to the Newgate's like, what, 10, 11 at this point? But with Sakazuki, they only need a couple cards to perform some of their wombo combos. So you always want to be careful. So Newgate probably thinking about playing a variety of characters down on the field, including a blocker. But if you have a 5-drop Marco could be nice to get rid of. Like one of the Rebecca blockers could just really help you out at this point. It looks like going to be resting 5 for exactly what I just said, the Marco, to get rid of it. And I don't hate this play off of the Izzo, even though it's a 1-drop and it's probably going to get destroyed or bottom decked, is what helps you look for the Edward Newgate 9 costs. And so grabbing that in the hand right there with 2 Dawn open, we know they have at least 1 Radical Beam. I think they have 2 in hand actually. So now Sakazuki going into the 9 cost. They have 9 Dawn up now, 2 Hinas, or 3 Hinas if you count the blue one, and going to be first swinging 6 just base at the leader and catching an Izzo Searcher for a 1k counter, putting that Marco at 4 cost, I believe. And so now attaching 1 Dawn, swinging with the Hina and a Sanji counter. So no more Sanji Rush is very interesting. Using the leader effect to trash the brand new in there. They definitely want to get rid of that Marco if they can, and they will off of that Borsellino controlling the board. So the Izzo is still here in this game, but the Sakazuki player knows that if they want to play Newgate down this turn and not hit 0 life, they're not going to be swinging with the Izzo at leader. So looking around in the trash, we'll see exactly where this goes, and it looks like they're thinking about doing something, maybe wishing they didn't do a specific thing at one point. So going to be thinking about their Dawn. It looks like they're going to be playing that 9-drop Newgate, boosting up the Newgate to 8,000 power and swinging 8 at leader with the Rebecca block there. So the Rebecca block is really, really good, especially for that Newgate. If the Sakazuki player isn't confident that they can get rid of that Newgate on the board this turn, 2 Dawn attached to that Newgate means that it's popping a 3,000 power or less character on attack, which is a Rebecca. So just getting rid of those Rebeccas now, so then you don't get popped, is really, really good idea, I feel like, at this point. And so pitching a Dracula Mihawk to the leader effect, definitely not going to help you get rid of this Newgate at this point, because you do have to commit a ton more resources. And it looks like Ice Age is a really, really good start, doing 1 for the Ice Age and another Borsellino in hand. So putting that Newgate down to 4, and then the Borsellino bottom decking it, attaching 2 Dawn to the Borsellino, and getting a Radical Beam to come out from that swing. Now going into the Newgate's turn, still 10 Dawn, but no pesky 9-drop Newgate on the board. We'll see if they've got another one. They do have another one to boost their attack in there, as well as some other things like Otama, and looks like a Nami Searcher in there, stuff like that. So we could just see a repeat of the same thing, and it looks like we are just 1 for the Newgate, 8 swinging. It looks like it's going to be at life, going to be taking that and just passing off the turn. So I think they have another Radical Beam in hand at this point. So the thing that you do like if you're Sakazuki right now is your Borsellinos are living, right? Your Borsellinos are not going down. They are viable attackers, and you can get a lot of poke damage with the Hinas. So could be something to keep an eye on in this one. Use the leader effect to get rid of the Rob Lucci. And so we'll see where they decide to go with there. We did see in the last game of this Newgate player, he found all 4 Newgates in the game, 9-drop Newgates. So he's found 2 of them already. We can see if he finds 2 more in this one. It looks like he's got a Great Eruption in hand, the Sakazuki player, so that can help you out a little bit, drawing some cards, minusing the cost of this Newgate. Remember, a Houndblaze could do very, very well in trying to get rid of this if you have enough minusing costs in your hand. They've already pitched 1 Ice Age, maybe has 1 or 2 more, and going to start off with that Great Eruption, I assume, putting the Newgate down to 7 cost at this point. You can get it down to 6 with the Sakazuki swing. You could just swing into leader for nothing if you want to just swing with no Dawn attached. That also proctors the -1 effect for anyone who doesn't know. So doing a little bit of the math, seeing what they can lower. They could as well potentially, if they have enough minusing effects, use a Rob Lucci. That Izzo is sitting at 1 cost overall. So if they can get the Newgate down, and just like I mentioned, you know, swinging face, not necessarily going for life at all, more so just using the attack to minus the cost of the Newgate to put it at 6. If you had something like another Ice Age and a Rob Lucci, or like another Great Eruption, or a Hina to play on, like on play Hina, that could get you close enough to be able to use Rob Lucci to take out both of these characters on the Newgate side of the field. So going to be starting off with an 8 swing at an 8 Newgate leader. Thinking about what they want to do. They have a ton of cards in hand, a ton of counter power potentially. So, but thinking about whether they want to take this life right here or just counter out of it. And so they're going to use the 1k counter Nami, and another Borsellino is going to come down. Borsellino doing wonders in this game. Very, very strong card in this matchup. So thinking about what they want to do, it looks like that the Newgate player is going to try to counter out of this one as well. Thinking about what he wants to pitch. I think not opting to use the Radical Beam yet. Seems like it'd be a little bit of a waste. Thinking about potentially a 4-drop Marco blocker could be the counter, and I don't hate that play, mostly because it's probably going to get bottom deck super easily, and so takes the last life. It's a Machino in there, so extra 2k for the counter is really, really good. Or be super aggressive if there's no blocker. You could use that Machino to power up the Izzo and really try to go for game at this point. So going to be resting, I believe, 4 Dawn now, playing over that blue Hina, to play a Rebecca, put down the Sabo, and draw 2 cards. So drawing 2 and having to trash 2. The Newgate will stay on the field. Interesting sequence of events. I think a second Makino is going to come down. You could double Makino on the Izzo right here to really just boost up. And so if it was me, I might try to go for a game right now. I'd attach 2 Dawn to the Newgate, swing at the Sakazuki, popping the Rebecca, and say, oh wait, no, they have another Sabo, but you have Rush Luffy in hand, so you might be able to still do it actually, if you want, right? Because you can swing, what is that, like 12 off of Newgate, right? You pop the Rebecca, you either take a life or you pop the Sabo, right? And you can use double Makino. You can swing Newgate. You already have a 1k advantage on Sakazuki as Newgate, and you can, like, I'm saying double Makino just seems really strong right now. So going to be using the 7. I would have loved to see the Newgate swing first, the character Newgate instead of the leader Newgate, but we'll see exactly how this goes. Maybe just doesn't want to commit Dawn at all to the character Newgate. Still has a pretty decent set of options at this point. They do have that Rush Luffy in hand and the 2 Makinos. I am sold on this 2 Makinos play. Let's just go all in on the Makinos. And it looks like they're resting either 4 or 5 Dawn. Gonna be playing that Rush Luffy and putting 1 on, thinking about putting another. Really thinking about what they want to do here. Putting another would make this Luffy unblockable, right? And then you'd only have 2 Dawn left to work with, which could be double Makino. But I definitely think an unblockable could be pretty strong here. So going to just do 1 though on this one, swinging 7, and it's going to get life taken right here. And it's going to be a great eruption, discarding a card from the Newgate player's hand and going to be resting 1 Dawn, 2 Dawn for the Makino. Oh, it looks like they have 3 Dawn left, so going to be attaching the 1 Dawn to the Makino. That's a 6,000, 7,000 power boost to swing 9, and it looks like they're going to do it. The double Makino wins against Sakazuki. Really, really tight game the whole time there. So the Sakazuki player just getting stuck with all those Hound Blazes in hand, not enough like cost minusing effects. So really, really strong performance from the Newgate. We will see an Edward Newgate in the finals of this tournament, and let me tell you, I actually know what the matchup is for the finals, and it's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be an interesting one that maybe you'll be surprised to see. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and again, thank you to these players for allowing me to record. This was a cool game to watch, and I hope to see you in the next video. Again, make sure if you want some singles of One Piece TCG, check out Darkside Games' website in the description below.